The alarm on my bridge did not sound like an alarm. It sounded like a mistake that could not be undone. I am General Threx of the Dominion Fleet, and I have commanded 3 major battles without losing my composure once. But when Sub-Commander Veth ran onto my bridge with her hands shaking, I knew something had gone wrong in a way that no battle ever had. "General," she said, "the boarding team brought back the wrong cargo." "Explain." "The human transport ship." "Our orders were clear, adults only, for questioning, nothing else." She paused, and her voice dropped lower, as if saying the words quietly would make them less true. "There are children on board our ship, sir. 43 of them. They were hiding in a lower deck we did not know about." For a moment I did not move. I had read every report our intelligence division had ever written about the human species. I had studied their wars, their history, their strange and stubborn nature, and every single report ended with the same warning, written in different words but meaning the same thing. "Never touch their young." "Are they harmed?" I asked. "No, sir. Frightened, confused, but safe." "Then we still have time," I said, though I was not sure I believed it. "Get me a channel to the human ship, now, before they notice the numbers are wrong." Veth did not question me. She ran to the communication station herself, her hands moving faster than I had ever seen them move before. I turned to Captain Orlin, who was standing near the tactical display, his face pale under the blue light of the screen. "You were in charge of the boarding operation," I said. "Tell me exactly how this happened." "The lower deck was not on the ship's registered layout, sir. It must have been added after the ship left port. My team followed procedure. We searched every marked area. We did not know there was a hidden section until we heard voices." "And when you heard voices, what did you do?" "We brought them out, sir. We did not know what else to do. We could not leave them locked in a compartment with no power and no way to call for help." I wanted to be angry with him, but in truth, I understood the choice he had made. Leaving frightened children alone in the dark was not something any decent person could do, human or otherwise. The mistake was not in bringing them out. The mistake was in taking too long to send them back. Every second we delayed made the danger grow larger. I had read about an event called the Corvid Incident, where a single human transport had struck a Dominion cruiser twice its size, rather than allow it to leave with 2 captured engineers still on board. I had read about Station Halen, where 3 human soldiers had entered a heavily guarded base and left again in less than 15 minutes, taking nothing with them except 2 children who had been separated from their families. Humans did not fight the way we fought. We fought with strategy, with patience, with careful calculation of gain and loss. Humans fought as if something old and unreasonable woke up inside them the moment their children were threatened, something that had learned, across thousands of years, exactly one lesson: protect the young at any cost, and worry about the cost later. "Channel is open, General," Veth said. "The human ship is responding." A voice came through, calm on the surface but tight underneath, like a rope pulled almost to its breaking point. "This is Captain Laura Bennett of the transport ship Silver Horizon. You have exactly 1 chance to explain why my crew count is missing 43 names before this conversation becomes very short." "Captain Bennett, this is General Threx of the Dominion Fleet. I am speaking to you directly because I believe honesty will serve us both better than delay. During our boarding operation, we discovered a hidden compartment containing children who were not listed on any manifest we had access to. They were not harmed, they are safe, and I intend to return every one of them to your ship immediately." There was silence on the other end. Then Captain Bennett spoke again, slower this time, each word measured with care. "Say the word safe again, General. I want to hear you say it twice." "They are safe, Captain. Unharmed. My shuttle crew is preparing to transfer them back to you right now, personally, under my direct order." "Good," she said, "because I need you to understand something, and I am not saying this to threaten you. I am saying it so you understand the position you are in. There are 3 more of our ships in this system that are not on your sensors. That is not an accident. Every family that settles near this border keeps ships stationed just outside detection range, quietly, without ever needing to use them. We do this because we have learned, more than once, that it is better to already be in position than to arrive too late." I looked at my sensor operator, who shook her head slightly, confirming that our scans had shown nothing. "Those ships will not fire on you," Captain Bennett continued, "as long as my children come home the way you promised. But I want you to understand what almost happened here, General. You were minutes away from finding out exactly what a system full of parents is capable of when someone takes their children, even by accident. This was never about revenge. It was never about anger for the sake of anger. It is simply the truth of what happens when you threaten the thing every one of us has agreed, without ever needing to discuss it, that we will protect no matter what it costs us. The shuttle is departing within minutes," I said. "You will have every child back safely." "I hope so," she said, her voice softening slightly, which somehow frightened me more than her earlier sharpness had. "For your sake, General, I hope so." The channel closed. I turned to Captain Orlan, whose hands were trembling now, though his voice remained steady. "Prepare every child personally. Do not rush them. Do not frighten them further. Treat them exactly the way you would want your own family treated if the situation were reversed." "Understood, sir." I walked to the observation window as the shuttle preparations began. Through the glass, I could see the human ship drifting quietly in space, its lights steady, its engines idle, giving no outward sign of the tension building within it. I thought about my own home, about the young ones of my own kind, and how quickly I would abandon every rule of strategy if someone threatened them. Perhaps this was not something unique to humans after all. Perhaps it was simply something they had learned to say openly, while the rest of us had learned to hide it behind policy and procedure. Veth approached me quietly. "General, do you think she was telling the truth about the other ships?" "I do not think it matters whether she was telling the truth," I said. "What matters is that I believe she was willing to use them if I gave her a reason. That belief alone is enough to change how careful I must be." The shuttle bay reported readiness. I watched on the monitor as the children were led, one by one, toward the transfer point. Some were crying quietly. Others stared straight ahead, silent, too frightened to make a sound. A young officer named Grace Miller walked beside them, speaking softly, trying to calm them without making promises she could not keep. I found myself hoping, more than I expected to, that this would end without further incident. The shuttle launched exactly on schedule. I watched its small shape cross the space between our two ships, carrying with it the only thing that could undo the mistake we had made. Every second of that crossing felt longer than an entire battle. When the shuttle finally docked with the Silver Horizon, I held my breath, though I would never admit that to anyone under my command. A new voice came through the channel a few minutes later, this time warmer, less guarded. "General Threx, this is Captain Bennett again. All 43 children have been confirmed safe and accounted for. Thank you for correcting your mistake quickly." "You are welcome, Captain. I regret that this happened at all." "Mistakes happen," she said. "What matters is how quickly they are fixed, and how honestly. You did both. I will note that in my report." "I would appreciate that," I said, surprised by how much relief I felt at her words. "One more thing, General," she added. "The 3 other ships you asked about, they are moving to a wider position now that this is resolved. Consider that a small courtesy in return for your honesty. Not every situation like this ends the way this one did." The channel closed for the final time. I stood on my bridge for a long while afterward, watching the human ship power up its engines and prepare to leave the system, its lights steady, its people safe, its danger, for now, put quietly back to sleep. Captain Orlan approached me carefully. "General, if I may ask, were you truly prepared to withdraw the entire fleet over 43 children?" "Yes," I said, without hesitation. "Why?" I considered the question longer than I expected to. Because somewhere along the way, I realized that a species willing to risk everything for its young is not a species you want to test twice. The first mistake can be forgiven if it is corrected honestly and quickly. The second mistake, I suspect, would not be forgiven at all. Veth nodded slowly, understanding settling over her features. "Do you think the humans would have truly used those extra ships, sir, even against a fleet our size?" "I believe they would have tried," I said. "And I believe that trying alone would have been enough to make the cost far greater than any gain we could have hoped for." That night, I wrote my report to the Dominion Council. I described the events exactly as they happened, without exaggeration and without excuse. I recommended a single addition to our understanding of the human species, one line that I believed would matter more than any tactical data we had gathered in years. Humans do not escalate because they are angry. They escalate because they have already decided, long before any conflict begins, exactly how far they are willing to go to protect their own. They do not wait to be provoked. They simply wait to see whether you will give them a reason. I closed the report with a final recommendation, one that I hoped every commander after me would take seriously. Do not test that decision, not even once. As the silver horizon disappeared into the distance, its engines glowing faintly against the dark, I found myself thinking, not about the danger we had narrowly avoided, but about the calm and steady voice of Captain Laura Bennett, and the quiet certainty behind every word she had spoken. She had not shouted. She had not threatened in anger. She had simply told me the truth, plainly and clearly, the way someone speaks when they know exactly what they are capable of and feel no need to prove it further. I returned to my quarters that night with a new understanding of the species we had been studying for so long. We had measured their weapons, their ships, their numbers, and their strategies, but we had never truly measured the simple, unshakable resolve behind their willingness to protect their children, a resolve that needed no anger and no display of force to be absolutely certain. It was, I decided, the most powerful weapon they possessed, and the one we had understood the least. From that day forward, every report I filed carried a new warning at the very top, one line that I hoped would prevent this same mistake from ever happening again under my command or any other. Whatever else happens, never take what is not yours to take, especially when it belongs to someone small enough to need protecting. I never made that mistake again.